Hi, my name is Amy Heyse, and in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to draw Saint Kateri Tekakwitha using simple lines and simple shapes. Her feast day is on July 14th, and this is the painting that inspired today's drawing. It was painted just a couple years after her death. For this project, you need a piece of paper, a pencil, and something to color with. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw an oval shape for her head. So close to the top of your paper, you're going to use your pencil to draw an oval shape for the shape of her head. And you can make your oval as big or as small as you wish. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw two lines for the sides of her neck. So underneath your oval shape, you're going to draw one line on the left side and one line on the right side to create the sides of her neck. And then we're going to do a letter V shape for her collar. So I'm going to draw a line that comes down like this and another line over here to make a shape that looks like the letter V. Then what I'm going to do to finish up her collar is by her neck, I'm going to draw one line over here and another line going down slightly over here. And I'm going to add another V shape. So one line's going to come down, kind of matching the left side of my V. I'll do another line coming down on the right to match that right side of my V. And then down at the bottom, I'm going to connect them with a straight across line like this. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to be putting in her hands. So I'm going to start off with a slightly curved line that comes right below her V collar like this, and that's going to be for her thumb. And then I'm going to add another line going the same direction over here for the long parts of her fingers. And that's going to curve around and connect to the back part of her hand, kind of creating a mitten shape. And I'm actually going to finish off this little thumb by adding a line that connects to the big fingers like this. She has another hand that's kind of tucked behind. We just see the tips of her fingers and the bottom of her wrist. So over here on this left side, I'm going to do a curved line, think kind of like the letter U. And that's going to be for the top longer fingers. And I'm going to do a curve over here for where her wrist is going to be. And I can finish up those hands by adding in some extra lines, 1, 2, or however many you can fit on those ones that are peeking out from behind. And I'm going to add 1, 2, 3 lines on the hand that's on top. Oftentimes in artwork, you'll see her holding a cross, so that's what we're going to draw next. So the first thing that we're going to do is over here by her thumb on this top hand, I'm going to start off with a line that comes up like this, and that creates the top part of the cross. And I'm going to do another line next to it that's going the same direction and is the same length. And I'm going to connect them at the top with a shorter line like so. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this part of the cross that goes straight across. So I'm going to do one line over here and another line right below, kind of like this. And I can connect these parts together with an up and down line to create this long piece. And I can erase any lines like from her collar or from the big up and down part of the cross that I no longer need. And you might notice that my cross here is a little bit shorter than this cross over here, and that is okay. Everyone's artwork's going to look a little bit different, and that's what makes us all unique. To create the bottom part of the cross, I'm going to kind of extend these lines here, but I want them sticking out on this other side of her hand. So I'm going to kind of line up my pencil and continue the line where it would have left off here on this left side. And if this hand wasn't in the way, I'd come down, stop, move to the opposite side of her hand, and then draw another line coming down the same direction, and I can connect them down at the bottom. And I'm going to erase this little part of her hand, which I no longer need, but maybe yours looks a little bit different, so you might not have to do that. We're going to put in her signature blue blanket, and it's going to be kind of like these long, skinny, rainbow kind of lines. So we're going to start with this one that's closer to where her face is. So leaving a little bit of space in between the top of her head and where I want this line to go. I'm going to start curving my pencil down like this, and I'm going to have it come down until I reach her hands, and that's where I'm going to stop for now. And on this opposite side, I'm going to do another curved line that comes down past her head, and it's going to come down past the cross. Now, if you hit your cross, you can just stop the line and you can continue it on the opposite side like this. So over by her hands, what we're going to do is we're going to draw one line that comes across like this for her little arm, and I'm going to do another one over here starting at her hand and coming across like this. So that's creating these folds of fabric right here, and I want to add one more line that's kind of going more up. So I'm going to kind of start in the same place and add one line coming up like this and one line coming up like that to create the folds of her signature blue blanket. We're going to finish up the inside of her blanket. So where our big, tall, skinny rainbow line ended, we're just going to continue that line coming down and stop for as long as you want the blanket to be. And I'm going to have it be about the same length over here on the opposite side. To create the next line, we're going to do another big, tall, skinny rainbow kind of line. So I'm going to start at the top of the head. So I'm going to take this line and I'm going to have it come past her head and come past those blanket folds that I added in like this. But I'm going to stop a little bit higher up than where these lines are. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to bring this line down past her head and past her shoulders, but I'm going to stop a little bit higher so these ones match up, but they're higher up than these lines down here. For the bottom part of her blanket, we're going to be putting in two lines that kind of come up at an angle. So I'm going to draw one line here, kind of slope it down, and add another one here, slightly diagonal line. So that way it looks like her blanket's a little bit longer in the front and a little bit shorter in the back. To finish up her shoulders, you're going to start where the V of her dress is, and you're going to continue that line down and stop at the blanket on each side. And we're going to be putting in these little beads for her necklace. So they're just little circles all touching each other. So inside that V, kind of close to her neck, I'm going to draw a circle and another circle right next to it. And I'm just going to fit as many as I can until I run out of room. We're going to finish off her sleeves. So where her wrists are, I'm going to add one diagonal line here for the bottom of that arm and a diagonal line here connecting to the blanket for that other arm. Underneath where her arms are, I'm going to be putting in her belt. And the belt kind of is slightly curved, a little bit like a smile. So I'm going to add one slightly curved line here for one part of her belt. And I'll add another line right next to it, above or below, to create the other part of that belt. The sides of her dress come down at a slight angle, and they come in a little bit inside where the blanket is. So if I wanted my dress this wide, then I would start one line here on the left side, slightly angled towards the left side of my paper, And kind of in a similar spot on the right side, I can add a slightly angled line, angled out towards the right side. And you can make that skirt as wide or as narrow as you wish. The bottom part of the skirt reminds me of a smile because it's curved. So I'm going to connect my two sides of my dress with a curved line like this to connect them at the bottom. And I'm going to add another curved line going the same direction right above to create this bottom brown trim of her skirt. We're also going to add another curved line here for this white part of her dress. So I'm going to pick a spot higher up on her skirt and I'm going to do a curved line that matches my other two curves all the way across like that for the white part of her dress. And in the painting, she has kind of like this little slit. It kind of reminds me of the top point of a triangle. So over here on this left side, I'm going to draw a triangle shape like that to create the slit in her dress. And I'm going to erase this bottom line here. So that way it looks like there's this cutout part on that white dress. For her legs, right in the middle, we're going to do a straight up and down line, creating where her heels are touching each other. So in the middle of her dress, down at the bottom, you're going to draw a straight up and down line, going straight up and down like this. And that creates her legs where they're touching each other. On the left side, we're going to leave a little bit of space and we're going to draw a line that comes down, but not all the way. And we're going to add a curve like a smile like this to create one part of her leg. And I'm going to do the same thing on this right side. I'm going to do a line that comes down on the right side. And then I'm going to add a curved line to create the top part of her shoe. For her feet, I'm going to start here at this curve and I'm going to draw a line that comes down diagonally, curves where I want the toe of the shoe to go, and then comes all the way around and connects to that first line I drew for her legs. I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. I'm starting where her ankle is, where that curved line is, and I'm angling my line over towards the right, curving where I want the toe to be, and connecting it in the back. So it looks like her heels are touching each other and her toes are pointed outwards. To finish up her shoes, we're going to be adding in these lines in this trim for her shoes. I'm going to add one line here starting near the left side of the shoe and I'm just pointing it downwards, matching where the toe is pointing. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to add a straight line that starts at that curve and points towards where the toe is pointing. Then what I'm going to do is underneath that line, I'm going to leave a little bit of a space and I'm going to put a straight across line like this to create this flat part of the decoration. And I'm going to have it come up, matching the line of her shoe, but then going off to the side when I get to the top. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go up, doing a parallel line that matches this line on the shoe, but then I'm going to have it go off and towards the edge when I get to the top of the shoe. We'll do the same thing over here, leave a little bit of a gap and put a straight line like this. You'll do a parallel line going up, but then going off the side of the shoe. And I'll do the same thing here, a straight line up, and then going off the edge. At the top of her head, underneath the blanket, I'm going to do a straight up and down line that comes down for where I want the part of her hair to go. We're going to do one line that goes off towards the right like this, and a line that goes off towards the left like that. And you can change the hair up however you wish. I'm going to erase these lines here from when I did the blanket because I no longer need those. And we're going to draw in the details of her face. So I just did simple circle eyes with a little bit of an eyelash, and you can change up the look on your drawing however you wish. Kind of around the middle of the face is where I'm going to put my eyes. So I'm going to do one circle for the left and one circle for the right, as big or as small as you wish. And then I'm going to add a little bit of an eyelash on each side. I'm going to do some curved lines above her eyes for the shape of her eyebrows. And in between her eyes and her chin, kind of in the middle, is where I'm going to place her nose. I'm just doing a simple nose by doing a little curved line, kind of like a smile or the letter U. And in between her nose and her chin, in the middle, I'm going to do a similar curved line for her mouth. And I'm just doing a simple smile for mine. But like I've said, you can change it however you wish. It does not have to look like mine. We are all unique and different. So whenever you finish your drawing, unless there's anything else that you want to add that I didn't show you, you are ready to color it. Maybe you want to add a halo. Maybe you want to add a little bit of like a background. Whatever you want to do is totally fine. And I'm going to be coloring my example with markers. Markers are nice because they show up well on the camera for you all to see at home. And when I use markers, I love to first outline my pencil with a black pen, kind of like this. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be using a pink marker to add these little dots onto Kateri's face. She had something called smallpox, and when she died, her smallpox vanished from her face. So I'll leave it up to you whether you want to include smallpox marks on her face in your example, or if you want her to have clear skin, like you sometimes see in artwork as well. Thank you so much for drawing along. I would love to see how your drawings of Saint Kateri turned out. Feel free to tag me on social media. If you enjoyed following along with today's tutorial, know that I post new Catholic-inspired art tutorials here on my channel every week. Another way that you can help support my channel is through my Buy Me a Coffee page and art supply wish list. I want to remind you that you are loved, God loves you very much, and He loves your artwork very much. Thank you so much for following along with me, and I'll see you in the next video.